So this is St Claran's, which my dad and my mum bought sometime in the 50s, and it was derelict then. My mother was given the task of doing it up, and it was her big project. I first came here when I was 4.5 after my mother died. She was killed in a car crash. And when I first came here, I thought I was just coming on holiday, and then after I went back to London, I came back again and came here to live. This was gravel then. The whole drive was gravel, and there were lions on the edges of the staircase. Lions lying down. And the front door was black, but that's the same knocker. We had an Easter egg hunt. It wasn't really an egg hunt, it was a sort of Easter chase. And the last clue I remember was a hand holding a ball, and none of us could figure it out. And eventually we got it, and it was this knocker, and the last clue was underneath it. And the house is quite different now, being a hotel. This hall was floored in black Connemara marble, which had fossils of shells and sea creatures in it. And we used to slide on it. It was great for sliding in socks. There was a big giant brass scale, weighing scale, in one corner. And in the other corner there was a kind of life-size sculpture of, I guess it was Joseph and Mary riding the donkey. It was a donkey. And when Karen Cray, whose parents worked here, taught me to do jigs and reels. She was the All-Ireland champion. And not only the All-Ireland Irish dancing champion, she was the world Irish dancing champion. She had won it for Ireland. And she was about 5 or 8 years older than me. And she taught me a double jig. That was my party piece. And we would do little performances here, me and Caroline and Jackie Lynch. Their father was the groom. The three of us would line up here, and everybody would be standing in the doorway to watch us. We had little matching outfits with red skirts and white shirts and black shoes, and we were very, very stiff. It was before river dance, so we were very much like this, looking straight ahead, very, very solemn.
Do you want to take us into the drawing room and just any memories that you have or anything?
Well, we never really used the drawing room much, or I didn't. It wasn't a kid's room. But the sunburst on the ceiling is the same. That's probably the only thing that is. This was the formal drawing room, and it wasn't really for kids. So the study, which is the next room over there, was the room that I remember mostly being in, except on Christmas morning. We had family Christmas in this room here. The Christmas tree was in the inner hall, but this was where we did the presents. Yeah, sure. So this is the study, which is now a completely different color. It used to be, I think it used to be blue, and the sofas were brown, and they were on either side of the fireplace, and we could look out here. And Dad's horses used to be in that field out there. He had his favorite horse was called Frisco. We used to be able to see him over that way. And I would play.
Was keen on horses, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He hunted. He was actually joint master of the Galway Blazers for a while. Joint master because he wasn't here so much of the time. There had to be somebody else who actually was here. But the hunt would meet in front of the house. And Betty O'Kelly, who was the sort of estate manager, would take us kids off she'd pile us all in the car and we'd go follow the hunt. So she'd be tearing along the lanes and trying to figure out where they were going, and it was very exciting.
And can we just go out to the hall and just see about, can you tell me where the Christmas tree was?
Sure. So this is the hall. The Christmas tree was right here. And it used to go up. I don't know how tall it was. Of course, in my memory, it reached the ceiling. But it probably came pretty close to the chandelier. And it was all piled full of presents. These stairs weren't here then. They moved the stairs. The stairs to downstairs used to be over there. So yeah, the Christmas tree was there, and on Christmas Eve, everyone would crowd into this hall everyone who worked here, all the neighbors and everything, and then there would be this jingling of bells, and Betty would say, "Oh, Santa's here, Santa's here," and the doors would open. There'd be a lot of ho ho ho's, and I would be sitting there trying to figure out who was Santa, because I knew there wasn't really a Santa, but everybody I knew was actually here, so I could never figure out who the local Santa was. But he would come in and hand out, call everyone's name and hand out presents to everybody. It was a big deal.
And when you would come to this house, did it seem overwhelming? Did you have to behave in a certain way, or was this like the formal house, or?
Yes, this was the formal house. I didn't actually live in this house to begin with. This is the big house, and the little house is down that way in the courtyard, with the Lynch's house and my dad's painting studio and the garden. It's down near the ruined castle, and that was where Nurse and I lived. Nurse was my nanny. She was Irish. I think she was from Dublin originally, I'm not sure. And so I would come up here for lunch. We'd come up before lunch and we'd be in the study and play games and draw, and then we'd have lunch in the dining room, and then be in the study a little bit longer, and then go back down to the little house. So I was always very well behaved in this house. And then there was one point when Dad thought that he would have to sell the little house, and I did move into this house, and I slept in the Bhutan room. But it still was the Bhutan room, it wasn't my room. So I was still very, very well behaved.
Can you take us up and show us where the
Yeah, sure.
Bhutan room?